Get in, nerds. We're going to hit our opponents in the face with 5/5s. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're going to be revisiting the Rakdos Punisher deck that seeks to punish your opponents for drawing cards. Isaac sent me a new build, and I did a little tuning from here. But one of the things that we're going to try out is just a straight 5/5 flyer that makes your opponents draw cards. But if you have Orcish Bowmaster in play or Sheolderd in play, or you otherwise are reducing your opponent's life total quickly enough that the downside of this doesn't matter too much, maybe this actually ends up being playable. So this is what we're working with today. Last time around, we found that Stormfist Crusader was actually a pretty respectable Magic card. And, if we do pair it with some effect that punishes card draw, it actually starts being pretty reasonable. So we are going to use these Stormfist Crusaders and these Masters of the Feasts to punish our opponents for drawing cards, and we are going to have some things that are going to make them draw additional cards. The biggest change I made from Isaac's original build is I wanted some more burn elements in the deck list. I wanted to just be able to send some more direct damage at the face so that a couple of triggers from things like Bowmasters and Sheolderd have a much higher impact. So Stalactite Stalker was something that I added so that I could have a 1-drop aggressive creature for those times that I don't have some of the aggressive mana. It also gives me more Dark Ritual lines. It opens up like Dark Ritual, Stalactite Stalker into Orcish Bowmasters as a way to just drop multiple bodies immediately. And I shifted some of the removal that was originally in the deck to Lightning Bolt. I want to not be drawing a whole bunch of 3 and 4 drops when I get extra cards off of things like Stormfist Crusader. I want things that I can just kind of quickly vomit out of my hand and to my opponent's life total. And I think lowering the curve a little bit with Lightning Bolts and Stalkers is probably a good idea. There was like a 5-mana Ob Nixilis in here. There was the 4-mana Spiteful Visions. But I wanted to shift the curve down a little bit to keep it a bit competitive. I'm unsure how good Fable of the Mirrorbreaker is within this shell, but if we kind of look at how much mana this deck actually has, it's kind of playing on the same axis as a Stompy deck might, in that it is roughly 50% mana. So looting away those extra mana sources probably matters quite a bit, so I am keeping it in the deck. The middle mode is also good if I do happen to control a Sheoldred, and if we copy a 5/5 flyer, the opponent is probably dead. So when I made that change to lower the curve, some of this removal that might have started in the main deck ended up in the sideboard. Molten Collapse is very much on theme for the deck in that we have a lot of fetch lands, so triggering the Descend is going to be pretty easy, hence why I wanted this in the deck list. But I want to try Lightning Bolt as a way to go to the face and close games. And once I'm at the point where I am playing some removal in the sideboard, that means that we're going down on the meltdown style effects that are powerful but pretty narrow. So the sideboard started out with 2 null rods, a meltdown, and a powder keg or something like that. I've condensed that down to 2 null rods. That's maybe a bit light for the current metagame, but we're memeing out here a little bit with this build, so I think I'm just going to accept that and be okay that we might have some deficiencies in some areas. And it may be that I have too much removal in the sideboard, but, a Fatal Push isn't going to kill a Murktide Regent or a Triumph of St. Catherine, right? So, I do need other effects. And this felt like an okay spread. Last notable change I made to the deck was I added a second one of these. I've just been really impressed by the Surveil lands in Legacy, so we're going to throw the second one in despite the fact that we occasionally may not curve out because of them. I think the upside of them is high enough that it is worth playing 2 in this list that does not have traditional cantrips. Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and hop into our league here. Should you need any cards from this deck or any Modern Horizons 3 cards, check out Tales of Adventure. EOAmagic.com, use promo code ThrabenU, it'll save you 5% on your order. If you want everything from one place instead of from a whole bunch of different retailers over the course of a week or two, they should have just about everything you need in stock, even if it's sweet Eternal cards. Let's battle. And this is the downside of playing a deck that is 50% mana. You know, sometimes you are just going to end up with these unbalanced hands. Holy shit, how much does this do on turn 1? They have 4 mana on turn 1. So, Badlands, Dark Ritual, Lotus Petal, Get Red, Play Fable, Play Stalker, all on turn 1. Yes. I don't know which of these goes back. There's also an argument to Thoughtseize and Fable on turn 1, but I think I am the beatdown here. I think I'm going to keep additional creature to just keep that pressure up. Oh, excuse me? Excuse me? City of Traders goes to exile. Well, okay. Well, this was unexpected. Badlands. Dark Ritual. Drop Fable. And drop Stalker. We've got 4 power in play on turn 1, ready to go. I have my second mana source for Stormfist Crusader off of the Goblin Shaman. This has evasion. I don't think my opponent is playing fair. I don't know in what capacity they are playing unfair. Gemstone Caverns is not a common legacy card. My guess before I see anything else is that this is going to be a red stompy deck list of some kind, and the Gemstone Caverns is a cute flex slot. Opponent got rid of Fury, which takes out 2 of these. The One Ring, sure. We'll see whether or not it was a mistake to not kill my creatures. I think I am going to get rid of Lightning. I don't know, I might get rid of both of these just because finding an Orcish Bowmasters or a Sheoldred, like finding something that punishes card draw is more important than ever. I'm going to do this. Very much am not rewarded. Is this into graveyard from anywhere? From anywhere. So I did put a permanent into my graveyard. We're going to send this in to just make the treasure. And hopefully we're getting deeper into my deck for something like a Sheoldred. It will be real good. One loses some life. They effectively gained 4 life by playing the One Ring on turn 1, which is kind of nuts. They're up to 6 mana. That's fine. That's also fine. So I'll just block this goblin that's being made. And it's no big deal. Now let's try to select for a good effect of some kind here. I say that's below average. Dark Ritual is not what I am looking for. This is a relative whiff. Okay, so this is permanent card, so my treasure tokens are not cards. I'm trying to like conceptualize how I am winning this game. I don't think I am. I don't think my attacks are the best. I'm going to pass the turn here. I don't think thought seizing my opponent makes that much sense when they can just immediately ancestral on their turn. I'm just going to keep this thought seize as an extra card in my hand for if I draw another one of these. I think if I win, it involves a good top deck into like a Sheoldred, a Master of the Feast, a Bowmaster, or something like that. So I think I am trying to not die to this stuff. Opponent loots away some lands. Alright, there goes the card draw. Opponent is Chromoxing. Red mana could possibly be a bottleneck right now. Shatter Skull Smashing is a very, very good card right now. I am surprised to see that go under. Yikes. Double yikes. I can kill one of those pre-combat. Is Sheoldred live for a kill? Not really. I am just going to concede. I think I am fully overrun here. Like I can kill a creature over there, but my opponent getting the One Ring into play, fogging 4 initial damage, and then drawing that many cards over the course of the game was not really beatable. Yeah, I think I needed to hit one of these 8 to punish the One Ring, or a Master of the Feast to have a large flyer to have a shot in that game. I don't think I like Thoughtseize against the One Ring. I'm going to let that go. And then I'm going to play some amount of removal. I'm not sure if I want Null Rod. It does shut off all the copies of the One Ring, but there are just a giant pile of creatures that I also need to worry about. I'm going to do Molten Collapse because it hits some of the bigger stuff like Fury. Then I think I'm going to take Fatal Push for mana efficiency and call that good. That's a weird one. The Dark Ritual's not great. I think I'm going to keep it as a strong, effective 6-card hand where I just kind of ineffectively use the Dark Ritual to power out a Bowmaster immediately. And then hope to Molten Collapse away whatever my opponent does on their first turn, and then curve that into Fable. The Surveil land in hand is not the most exciting thing in the world. We'd prefer to fish those out of the deck. It may stop me from curving into Fable. Yep. Alright, opponent's just chilling. They did see the need to play out Chrome Mox immediately. It's possible that I just walk this Bowmaster immediately into some removal spell, but I think to keep up with my opponent's curve, I need to play spells when I can play spells. There's probably not a red flash creature that I am about to walk into, so I think I'm going to go ahead and do my combat step and then Molten Collapse afterwards. 17. I only need to do one mode of this. And we are just fully going to take out that Chrome Mox. My opponent might have played that out to just like not have it Thoughtseized. It might have been an incredibly important portion of their hand mana-wise, but they did expose it to removal. And I think cards like Meltdown are something that would probably be on my opponent's radar as something they potentially need to play around. The Stalker is better the earlier that I play it, but I think I am just interested in Fable here. I have like some 5/5 flyers in my deck. I have Sheoldreds in my deck. I have very meaningful plays that I can make, and I just don't have access to any of the big haymakers right now. So let's try to find one. My opponent's definitely behind. The One Ring isn't going to help them catch up. They don't have permanents in play to throw with a broadside. So here's the 4th mana. Fiery Confluence or something could wipe my board. That's fine. We've got a Bowmaster to help with this looting ability. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty devastating. Hopefully my Fable looting gets me something reasonable here. Yikes. Yes, get rid of you, get rid of you. Thanks, deck. Thank you. I mean, we'll scale this up. I could technically use it as a removal spell for this. I don't think I want to do that. Opponent chooses not to loot away anything. That's a horrible sign. I'm gonna take the hit. I don't think mana is likely a bottleneck for the opponent. I think if I win because I am the aggressor. My opponent has like the One Ring and stuff, yeah. That are going to bury me as these games go long. Yeah. No, this is not feeling good. This attack does no damage. I could just give up Lotus Petal to immediately descend and put another counter on this. I think I am going to do that so that this is outside of range of dying to Fury. Boy, that feels bad. It seems like we, in theory, should be good against the One Ring deck. But in practice, this is an unmitigated disaster. Yeah. Oh, they need even more mana. Am I just going to eat a Shatter Skull Smashing here? Yeah. So, I will kill my opponent's Reflection of Kiki Jiki. But my board is clear. I suspect that this game is over. I can draw like a Sheoldred here, and that would be really good. Nope. Absolutely not. Yeah, I imagine that my opponent very easily will race their own One Ring. I mean, I could be wrong, but Assuming they stop tapping their Ancient Tomb and they just deploy some other creature, that should pretty easily do it, especially if it's something like a Broadside. Blood Moon's fine. I still have black for Sheoldred. My opponent had multiple Ancient Tombs and a Rabblemaster. I'm going to take one more draw step. Well, I guess I shouldn't concede, right? I guess it is possible for my opponent to kill themselves with the One Ring, but this is miserable. Okay. Dark Ritual, Sheoldred. So my opponent loses 3 from the One Ring, loses 2 from Sheoldred. They are at 3. Let's see if I survive this turn. If I do, they die to the One Ring, but, you know, they can play a new One Ring. They can play a Broadside, throw the One Ring. Love this pause. Yes. Okay. We won. We won. I still don't necessarily think I am supposed to sideboard Null Rod, despite how good the One Ring is against me. Like, I think I am in this aggro role where I might need that One Ring like life loss if I want to win games, like Exhibit A. It also would come at the cost of cards that I think are important. Like, I could trim 4 pieces of artifact mana and play some Null Rods or something, but I don't necessarily think that's good. So this is turn 1 Stormfist Crusader. Turn 2 Molten Collapse my opponent's thing. This is 5 pieces of mana and 2 real cards. Or alternatively, I put Molten Collapse in here and I go turn 1 Stormfist Crusader, turn 2 Fable. That might be better. I think after my opponent has mulliganed, I will keep this. It has some decent flexibility. You know, if my opponent plays out a Chrome Mox and passes the turn again, I can, in theory, just turn 1 Molten Collapse that and go from there. Turn 1 Molten Collapse, turn 2 Stormfist Crusader or Fable. All right, it is just a tapped land. That can be turn 1 Fable. It's a little awkward. Costs a lot to do that. It's probably my line. Keep Molten Collapse for whatever my opponent does on their turn 2. So Chrome Mox. Yeah, okay. I think it is this one. So let's cast our Fable. Slightly inefficient use of mana. Pass the turn. I can potentially loot away these lands. Maybe get a 2-for-1 with Molten Collapse, depending on how my opponent's turn cycle goes. Well, that's not a soul land. I guess that's good. It is a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Molten Collapse doesn't necessarily line up the best against that. So I can Master of the Feast this turn. I could Molten Collapse to kill this token. I think I am going to get rid of the tapped land and then make my decision about what I am doing based on what I draw. I could get rid of both and dig deeper, assuming that I run into some other mana. I'm always going to attack with this, I think, but I don't think I mind the land, more generally speaking. Another Molten Collapse. I think I'm going to keep the board clear. Actually, I'm going to offer this trade. I will see if my opponent wants to trade, because if they trade, I will just play a 5/5 flyer. I would be okay with the trade. Opponent does not want the trade, meaning that they value their creature, meaning that I should kill their creature. Get out. Molten Collapse, unfortunately, is a sorcery, so I am not going to get to immediately just destroy a relevant creature. Opponent gets rid of a Dead Gone. I think they have another one. It seems like they don't have lands. They tapped and untapped this land. I don't really care if Blood Moon happens at this point of the game. I would rather just surveil here. Not interested. Got another one anyway. I'll fire on in with this and then play a Master of the Feast. My opponent's at 16 and is going to take a very large amount of damage next turn. Like, they're going to take 5, copy, 10, 11, 12 damage in theory. And I have their blocker covered already. Alright, opponent did not cast a potential Dead Gone. Could mean that they have Fury to answer both of these at the same time. Like, they have to have something in their hand if they don't have lands, right? Alright, it is Fury. Possible it could go here and be combined with Dead Gone to kill the Master of the Feast. but it is taking out the small stuff. So I am going to be giving my opponent more cards here with Master of the Feast. Hopefully this approximately 3-turn clock is just fine, though. I'll do my 5 damage. We'll take out my opponent's creature and put another body into play. My cards are going to be drawing my opponent out of their mana screw, which is not the best. Immediate dead gone here. Immediate dead gone. That's fine. Maybe my opponent's hand was a mulligan. Fatal Push is not what I am looking for right now. I literally want any threat to just get over the line here damage-wise before my opponent draws out of this, because I am actively helping them draw out. Yep. Sure. Alright, it is the One Ring. So I would like to draw something like an Orcish Bowmasters or a Sheolderd that punishes card draw. That's incredibly important here. Lightning Bolt is not the worst. We'll see whether or not my opponent is drawing cards with the One Ring. They are. It is a lot harder for the One Ring to bury me from 6 life, which is effectively 2 life. Yep. Absolutely. So Lightning Bolt plus that One Ring trigger is now lethal. This is why I added Lightning Bolt to the deck. We are probably winning this one. All it took was my opponent not doing anything for 7 turns. Alright, 6 turns. They played the One Ring on turn 6. Broadside is fine. I believe Revolt is permanent leaving play. I believe I can sacrifice a treasure to trigger Revolt. Yeah, seems like it's permanent. You control left the battlefield. Let's trigger Revolt. Get rid of Broadside. The Master of the Feast is lethal. There's also Lightning Bolt. I guess technically I should have done this in the beginning of combat steps, so Spirit Guide into another Broadside is not a way to throw the One Ring. Sure. Alright, seems like my opponent has a Dead Gone and is going to bounce my Master of the Feast. I'm going to send a Lightning Bolt at their dome, and then they are dead to the One Ring. So they get an extra card here. Bowmaster is great. Send it. Yeah, you return that creature to my hand, that's fine. You are dead on board. And then when they tap the One Ring to attempt to draw cards to not die to their trigger, I will Bowmaster them. I literally do not believe that we won that game after how terrible that felt. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I could say all sorts of great things about them, but I'm just going to point to this number. I have 488 deck lists stored on this site. That should give you a feel for how I feel about this website. And if you were to go to my profile, you could see all the deck lists that I'm messing around with, including my EDH decks, and you can even see some of the deck lists I record with before they hit the channel. Ooh. This is a weird opening hand. So I don't do anything on turn 1 except maybe Lightning Bolt a creature. And then I play Master of the Feast into Master of the Feast. I don't think this is bad enough to mulligan, but boy, it feels weird. You can make an argument about whether or not I'm supposed to play out Lotus Petal on turn 1 there. I'm not gonna devote that much brain power to thinking about that, though. No. No, thank you. So, do I want to play around days? I think no. Like, I'm pretty clearly in the aggro role, and I don't know what deck my opponent is playing yet. I think I need to just jam a creature this turn and a creature next turn if I am going to realistically win this game. In play? Now, what is my opponent doing over there? Don't Fatal Push me. That's worse than Fatal Push. Fuck. Yeah, this can just get like an Archon, reanimate Archon, and GG. Lightning Bolts don't beat Archon. Don't have game 1 removal. That really takes that out. That's super unfortunate. I think I am literally stone cold dead to Archon. I guess I could double bolt it and stay in the game. Yikes. So I can get dazed if I keep these and not the land, but I think I need a follow-up threat to try to 3-turn clock my opponent. Well, let's see if we can kill this. I will also need to dodge every reanimation spell for the rest of the game. And this can be a surveil land to look for a reanimation spell. Stifle. Interesting. So I guess the question becomes, is that a value-oriented stifle, or is there some spice here with something like Phyrexian Dreadnought as an alternative win condition? Ooh. Hate that. My deck is roughly 50% mana, so I will probably recover from that. Roll. So the hand's not that good. I think I'm going to take the Bowmaster and try to leave the rest of the stuff stranded in hand. It means my next threat gets Force of Willed, but I don't think I want to let my opponent have a threat on the ground. 1C down. Yeah. Alright. So I need surgicals and ley lines. And then some amount of other removal is potentially fine. I think my Thought Seizes are becoming these cards. And I think my Lightning Bolts are becoming cards that have the possibility of hitting a larger reanimated creature in case this stuff does not work. Yes. So that always starts in play. And then what goes under Chrome Mox? I think Sheoldred. And I think I am going to go ahead and sorcery speed Orcish Bowmasters before it can be dazed. This kind of lets my opponent know that it's there. But I think I am always going to play this Orcish Bowmasters in this turn cycle. And I think I just don't want to open up Daze as a reasonable card here. That's fine. Ooh, I do not get Wastelanded immediately, which means I get to play a spell this turn. That is fantastic. Oop, need to do that the other way. I'm just doing this now in case my opponent decides that they want to Wasteland me mid-combat. And 2 points of damage in. And then figure out what I want to do with this. I am going to keep that on top. I imagine it's like 50-50 that I get Wastelanded at some point in the not-too-distant future. And I can always loot away the land with Fable if things aren't going my way. Alright. You Bowmaster, my Bowmaster. And life gets awkward because of Stormfist Crusader now. Yeah. Dark Ritual is not particularly good. The Stormfist Crusader is now a problem. I'm going to attack. I will happily trade it for the Orcish Bowmaster specifically. Opponent does not accept, knowing that the card is valuable. I will play around Daze here. That's rough. So now I am probably going to just lose to my own card, despite Leyline doing a lot of damage to my opponent's better lines. Oh. Yeah. Oh, man, is there another one? I'm going to be so sad if there's another one. Trigger. Yeah. Stalker's terrible right now. I don't get to loot through this. We are about to see a very, very unusual exchange of resources. I'm going to cast a Stalker. I'm going to pass the turn. And then I'm going to Dark Ritual to get rid of Bowmasters. I think I am going to do this now. Goodbye. Sure. Yeah. Concede. I'm not beating 2 of those. This is so much. Ugh. That feels like an awful matchup. My hand seems perfectly reasonable here. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. It is a Karakas, which makes my Sheoldred worse. So Sheoldred, accordingly, is probably going under Chrome Mox now. I think I have lost this game already, as weird as that sounds. I don't have answers to a Merit Lage in the main deck, and the way my opponent has played out this mana means that if they have a Swords to Plowshares or equivalent for this creature, they just get to do it now and then do whatever their primary plan is. Okay, we dodged that. Yeah. So upkeep in response to this trigger. Yeah. Hang my opponent. And then we'll do it again. My opponent. I miss on my draw. Master of the Feast is a flying blocker. That's really good, especially with this card already in graveyard, so crop rotation can't power it through. Let's get my ETB tapped land out of the way. Another Bowmaster. Yes. It is a crop rotation or a Thespian stage. Do you have a spirit guide? You have a spirit guide. Yeah, I take 20 and die. Cool. So I have 2 Sheoldred's Edicts that can answer Merit Lage. That's not great. My opponent has Karakas on a stick, meaning that Sheoldred is not the best. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And I'll probably fill with like 2 Fatal Pushes or 2 Molten Collapses to help out with the assorted creatures that my opponent might be playing. This does not look good, folks. I guess we're going to try to believe in the beatdown here. I could play this game on basics, but if my opponent wants to take time to wasteland me, I think I'm okay with that. Once I have a 5/5 flyer in play. Alright, little demon, big demon, I believe in you. That's fine. That's totally fine. You get a card. Alright. Yeah. More Badlands. Goodbye, map. Are you going to double spirit guide me here? No. 5. Now, my opponent is going to have plenty of resources. I can keep the creatures from activating abilities. That's about all I've got right now. Grummock's not good. A lightning bolt is probably not changing a clock here. It's a legit abrupt decay in the year of our Keranos, 2024. So now my Master of the Feasts has done 5 damage and given my opponent some extra cards, and we are on track to get Dark Depths maybe next turn. Let's surveil. Opponent is not close enough to dead where that's viable. I need another threat. Yikes. Are we at the point where my situation is dire enough that I start planning ahead for Fable of the Mirrorbreaker looting? I think so. Okay, it's not Dark Depths. That's the good news. All right. Crop rotation. In response, you win. Fair. Okay. Still alive. Mox Diamond. That means that my opponent needs more mana. Yes. I assume naming Wasteland. It's not in my deck, but I think it is very reasonable to assume that Wasteland is in my deck based on what my opponent has seen here. Yeah. No way to trigger this. I'm still dead even if I were to activate its ability. Alright, that gets Dark Depths. Dark Depths gets copied. I die. Alright. We got bodied. Alright, I have kept a sort of mediocre hand that is improved by a large number of draws. My opponent is on 5. Gamble. My opponent going to just echo on turn 1. Discard your LED, coward. They did not discard their LED. Yeah. So we are taking fresh 7s here. My hand potentially will make a turn 1 Sheoldred if I draw any colored card that I can put under Grummock's. So I've got that going for me. Fantastic. We're going to play out some artifact mana. Oh, I guess I didn't count my land drop. I don't need to Grummock's the Fable. So Sheoldred is going to be very, very good in this matchup. Now we just kind of see, like, do I beat the Urza Saga tokens and the more natural ritual side of the deck? Again, my opponent is on a random new hand and had no starting resources to speak of. Sure. Defense grid is fine. That's not doing anything here. Interesting. I think I just Thoughtseize here. I don't think I play the additional threat. Wheel of Misfortune. So that is a draw 7, which is not castable really right now. My opponent can get a Mox Opal and cast a Birgie. A Birgie is a blocker. A Gamble represents anything in their deck. anything in their deck is probably scarier than Birgi. I mean, it's anything in their deck with some degree of risk, but you may have your Birgi. We might just see Sheolderd go all the way and do the full 20 here. Opponent could also just make an Urza Saga Construct token to block and buy some time. Is the Urza Saga Construct token. That's currently not big enough to stop a Sheolderd attack. We will send on in. Opponent's at 8. We don't have a lot of time here. And I do just have Fable of the Mirror Breaker so that I can gain some additional life by looting through some cards as well, just in case my opponent tries to pivot into an aggro roll. Get there. What is happening right now? My opponent has floated mana in draw step, which doesn't feel like it was the intention, and conceded. So, if I were the opponent there, I would have considered, and I don't know a couple of the cards in their hand at this point, but I would have considered upkeep, crack LED, activate Urza Saga again, make a larger construct creature to at least stabilize the ground. But I'm not sure how you work towards winning if you don't have something like a Shadow Spear there. All right. Null Rod, great. Leyline of the Void, great. Pyroblast, borderline playable. Surgical, let's leave those up there. Surgical Extraction, borderline playable. So I'm not overly excited about Lightning Bolt here. That one probably goes. Giving my opponents extra cards is definitely a little bit scary. Might trim this. Surgical is usually not going to end up snagging an Echo. What it can do is if my opponent discards a critical card such as Burning Wish, I can then surgically extract it. I will probably play that. And I'll probably play Pyroblast because it's more efficient interaction. I probably kill my opponent with like one creature that I put into play. I don't know how much further I can go down on threats. But I think I'm going to try something that looks like this. When I am on the draw here, I really would like a Leyline of the Void opener. Yeah, that'll do. Null Rod with the artifact mana is a thing. I don't think I mind. Our opponent's on 7. We start with Leyline in play. Looks like we're just getting land drop pass here, which is real good for me. So this is better versus Wheel of Misfortune. This is better versus random, storm lines. I think I am going to fetch a Badlands here. I want to have both colors in case stuff gets wheeled away. I think I am going to Null Rod. I think it is Disrupt and then play threats. Birgi me? Burning Wish. I can get an answer to a Null Rod. Empty the Warrens. Got it. It sure would be a shame. It sure would be a shame if something happened to that Empty the Warrens. There is another Burning Wish. I'll take the Empty the Warrens. So next up is, do I want to Chrome Mox a Bowmasters to play a Bowmasters this turn? No, because Null Rod. I answered my own question. I assume this is another setup Burning Wish. Getting Elemental Eruption, which is harder to cast. Opponent only has 4 mana showing with a Null Rod active. So we'll pass the turn with the intention of doing an end of my opponent's turn Bowmasters. Cool, no play. Now we're just going to get aggressive. We need to get most or all of this damage in before this can happen. Do I play Master of the Feast? I don't think so. The floodgates are really close to opening already. I think we will just accept the lower immediate damage output of Orcish Bowmasters. Just kind of scale up. And then once I have both, I don't know, maybe I play this and then flash in the Bowmasters on my own turn or something. Oh, that's bad. So now my opponent, Rite of Flame, 2 mana, City of Traders, 4 mana, 5, 6 mana, Elemental Eruption. I am, I think, effectively dead. Like, both those get played out. This is gone. My opponent's still going to have at least Gamble in hand. So there's 4 of these. That's 16 damage. Casting any one spell puts it over the edge. I can play Master of the Feast to block 1 and maybe survive. But it sure is looking bad. The worst part here is that, like, Master of the Feast is not going to survive a hit from this due to prowess. Oh. That just feels like a grape shot. I mean, there could be something better than that, but grape shot go to my face means that this is lethal through Master of the Feast as a blocker. I mean, unless my opponent does not target me and like kills my Bowmasters or something. Yeah, so 6, 12, 18. We are dead. I get another game here. I don't have anything that can wipe all of those tokens. I think I am hitting the submit button. Maybe Master of the Feast is better than Fable. I don't know. Looting towards more hate is okay. I've got a pretty reasonable opening hand here. I start with a Leyline, and I can either play a Scaling Threat and hold up the pretty bad Pyroblast on turn 1, or I can just Bowmaster on turn 1 to be better versus Wheel of Misfortune, which is probably what I'm going to do. I think if Leyline is shutting off Echo already, Pyroblast goes under Chrome Mox. I'm not going to be the best at scaling up a Stalker, but to be honest, I'm mostly hoping to loot away Stalker with Fable. Alright, start with Leyline in play. Bloodstainmire, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Pyroblast, pass turn. Alright, here we go. There's an Echo, so we stopped LED plus Echo. We're starting to get to like Burning Wish Goblins territory. Oh, don't Elemental Eruption me as the last card, please. Yep. So this is just Burning Wish for Elemental Eruption, and there's just lethal damage on board, and I have no way to sweep those. So we got turn 1 through 2 different pieces of disruption. Can't be mad. So we were probably playing against Death and Taxes here. I guess I think I'm going to try to play this game on basic lands. I'm going to play out these. I think I just do this immediately, hope to find something good to do for turn 2, and then try to play Sheoldred turn 3. The problem here is that my opponent is going to be playing Orcish Bowmasters. So, like, we saw how that goes, and yeah, it's not good. Fuck, I think my opponent also has Solitude. Yeah, we could basically concede this game right now, I think. We'll keep playing, but we are at beyond an uphill battle at this point. Like, I have to hope that this 5/5 flyer goes all the way against my opponent's Swords to Plowshares Solitude deck when I am feeding them extra cards every turn. Yeah, no, that's very good against me right now. I don't think I'm going to bolt the Thalia. I think I'm going to leave the Thalia in play and try to send this bolt at face. It literally reduces my clock by 1 turn. Yeah. Are you getting a Cauldra or a Batterskull or a Jitte? What's happening here? Batterskull. Batterskull's unfortunate. Or wait, no, it isn't, right? I hit my opponent for 5, bring them to 6. They put Batterskull in, I hit them in the air for 5. I'm gonna try to kill my opponent. Let's surveil. No. I'm gonna try to believe. I am going to try to kill my opponent rather than stop the Batterskull from coming into play. And that's not necessarily the most reliable path to victory, but I don't see myself winning the long game basically ever. So let's try to win the short game. Yes. It is a Cauldra. I am going to leave that in play. Yes. And I'm going to send this upstairs. Opponent is in Lightning Bolt range. They have another draw to hit Swords to Plowshares or whatever. Bowmaster's face. Oh my god. Oh, we dodged. We dodged so hard there. Alright, removal spells. I have 6 that I can bring in. I don't think I am interested in Null Rod. So what's not good? Maybe get rid of Thought Seizes for the first 4 removal spells. Conceptually, I do not like Sheoldred versus the probably 4x Karakas deck. Doesn't make a lot of sense. The upside of it working is very high, but I think I need to trim those. This is a weird opening hand. I think I am going to try it. It feels like some portion of the time I draw a fetch land and this completely runs over my opponent. I have a Bowmaster to get some smaller blockers out of the way. I won't be great versus Stoneforge Mystic. I will be fine versus a removal spell or 2. We'll just see what my opponent starts on. Yeah, I can Bowmaster that. Let's assume that the 3rd Stalker can go here. And we'll just take out Mom. Sanctifier in Vec. Sure. I mean, I've got a bunch of menace creatures for a reason, right? So, do I want double Stalker scale up both right now? Oh no. What is the exact wording? Was put into your graveyard and this is a replacement effect? Well, that's annoying. Alright. I guess we're going this route instead. That is a very potent sideboard card against what I am currently trying to do. Oh, Bowmaster. I mean, that's also real bad. And swords. Sure. My Stalkers never grow. My Bowmasters aren't pinging my opponent. I could attack with a Stalker. My opponent would probably just take 1 over double block, sensing a trap, which means I couldn't double trade things for Stoneforge. I don't think this one is happening. Sanctifier in Vec just kind of invalidated my entire draw since I had 3 of these. Let's move on to another one where I'm on the play. Like, I could sit there and struggle for 5 minutes, but I don't know that that's worth it. This has a mix of lands and spells, but does not have any real plan to win the game. I don't think I like it. It is a 5-card hand better than this. Probably. Not this time. Oh my god. This is a 4-card hand that produces a 1/1 Stalker by using 3 of its cards. 3. No. I think my spirit is broken after a Mulda 3. I think we're just going to call it on this video. Alright, so that pretty clearly did not work. Let's see if we can figure out why. So it feels to me like this is sort of an A plus B combo deck where assembling A plus B does not necessarily just win you the game. And while some of these cards are like very reasonable legacy staples on their own, Master of the Feast is an incredibly risky card to play. You know, it is a hell of a clock, but giving your opponents extra cards when removal is so efficient is scary. I think Stormfist Crusader is reasonable on its own because it at least is symmetrical and like you get to use your mana before your opponent does in many cases. You get to cast your sorcery speed things you draw before they do. But I'm not convinced by Master. Conceptually, I liked the idea of having some additional things that help me push early game damage so that this stuff could serve as the burn. But, you know, every time I play a black deck in Legacy that does not have Grief Reanimate Troll, I ask myself, why do we not have Grief Reanimate Troll? And, you know, that's probably an indication that that package is maybe too good for Legacy right now. But it feels like I am trying to play a fair black deck while ignoring some of the best things that fair black decks have to offer. But if you want to be this deck that has all of this acceleration, does it still make sense to like go down additional cards playing Grief and Reanimate? Unsure. You know, in theory, we get some cards back, but in practice in this league, it did not feel like we were refueling very well. I don't think I ever activated a Reflection of Kiki Jiki. There were only a couple of times, I think, where I actually assembled A plus B over the course of the entire league. Pretty happy with the sideboard options. I felt like I had reasonable things to board in. Was a little tricky figuring out what to board out, and sometimes I dropped a little low in terms of threats. This one gets a thumbs down for me. I don't know if further work on this archetype is going to yield dividends. It's kind of feeling to me like this is underpowered. And playing all of these cards that look like this comes at the cost of just playing good, solid threats, such as Douthie Voidwalker. Like, maybe you bring this a touch closer to mono black aggro. Maybe that's how you get in your Griefs Reanimates, and you just play Stormfist Crusader as your spice. And, like, maybe keep Lightning Bolts. And you keep Dark Ritual, but increase your mana count somewhere, I don't know, just spitballing somewhere closer on the order of 20. Maybe you don't have enough oomph to consistently Sheoldred. I don't know, but those sorts of things are kind of where my head's at. Folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. If you need cards, you know where to go. Promo code ThrabenU to save you a bit. Ooh, all right. See ya.